Taylor Swift is now worth an estimated $2.1 billion, and after marrying Travis Kelce, one question keeps coming up. What does the NFL star actually get? From their finances to the legal side of the marriage, the answer is far more complicated than most fans realize. Let's get into it. The wedding happened on a Friday night at Madison Square Garden, in front of roughly 1,000 guests pulled from music, film, and sports. The superstar couple tied the knot in front of around 1,000 guests. At New York City's Madison Square Garden, bringing together Hollywood music and sporting royalty for one of the biggest celebrity weddings in recent memory. The venue's jumbotron lit up with the words "Just and T married" for fans gathered outside, and within minutes, it was everywhere. Here's the number that made every financial outlet stop what it was doing. Swift enters her wedding weekend with an estimated net worth north of $2.1 billion. That figure comes from a run nobody in music has ever managed. This focus has not only made her the richest female musician in history, but also the first musician ever to reach billionaire status purely through her art. Her journey from a $1 billion net worth in 2023 to over $2.1 billion in 2026 is a masterclass in artistic control and commercial acumen. Now put Travis Kelce next to that number. Kelce has an estimated net worth between $70 million and $90 million, which he amassed through his NFL career, brand partnerships, and his sports podcast, New Heights. Some trackers push it higher. Kelce's net worth is estimated at $90 million in 2026, with some trackers placing it as high as $110 million. Either way, you're looking at a gap that's almost impossible to describe in normal terms. Kelce's is estimated between $70 million and $90 million. From his NFL career and endorsements, leaving a gap of roughly $1.9 billion. That gap is exactly why lawyers who've never met either of them started talking the moment the engagement was announced. As Nancy Kimtob, a New York-based divorce lawyer who represented both Bobby Flay and Mary-Kate Olsen, says, it would be nonsensical for them not to have a prenuptial agreement. And according to multiple reports, that's exactly what happened. The massively publicized wedding of pop star Taylor Swift and football player Travis Kelce this past weekend was accompanied by what is thought to be the most sophisticated prenuptial legal agreement in history to protect their respective fortunes, which is obviously less about Kelce's $90 million than Swift's $2 billion, in the unfortunate case that the union goes south in the coming years. So what does Travis actually get? Not a slice of the catalog, not a stake in the tour money. According to people who've reported on the structure of the deal, this prenup was built on a very specific principle. Everything stays where it started. An attorney representing Taylor Swift in connection with a prenup would strongly recommend that the agreement be drafted on a title-based basis, meaning everything that's in Taylor's name and Travis's name, now and in the future, would remain their separate property, free and clear of any claims by the other. That's the headline. Travis doesn't get a check. He doesn't get a percentage. What he gets is something else entirely, and it starts with how insiders describe his own reaction to being asked to sign it in the first place. Reports describe him accepting the terms without friction, treated less like a contract and more like extensive measures Taylor Swift reportedly put in place to protect her fortune before marrying Travis Kelce, with sources revealing the couple agreed to an ironclad prenup ahead of their wedding. One insider close to the family framed it plainly: when you're dealing with nearly $2 billion in combined assets, a prenup isn't a sign of mistrust. That's the tone everyone around this marriage has tried to strike. Not suspicion. Structure. But structure means somebody has to draw the lines. And in this case, that job reportedly didn't fall to a random legal team pulled off a website. It fell to someone who has spent Taylor's entire career, standing just outside the spotlight, making sure the money never got messy. If you want to understand what Travis actually gets, you first have to understand who sat across the table, making sure it wasn't more. And that person, according to multiple reports, is Taylor's own father. Reports confirmed that Taylor and Travis signed a prenup before their wedding that was overseen by Taylor's father, Scott Swift, who previously worked as a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch. That detail matters more than it sounds like on the surface. This isn't a father walking his daughter down the aisle and stepping back. This is a man with decades of financial training, personally shaping the paperwork that decides what happens to $2 billion if the marriage ever ends. One insider described him in blunt terms. Scott is the definition of a great father, the insider said. He spent his entire adult life protecting Taylor, while giving her the freedom to become the biggest star in the world. He's always there, but never in the spotlight. Another line from that same report went further, painting him as someone whose warmth never gets in the way of his instincts. He's a fist in a velvet glove, polite, charming, and incredibly warm. But when it comes to protecting his daughter and her business interests, nobody is sharper. That's the man who reportedly sat in the room, while lawyers hammered out what Travis walks away with. And the timeline on this wasn't rushed. This wasn't a document thrown together in the final weeks before the wedding. Attorneys who work these cases for a living say a couple with this profile would have started the conversation over a year out. Richardson says that Swift and Kelce, who got engaged in August 2025, could have negotiated and entered into the prenup at least a year before the wedding. A year of lawyers going back and forth over what counts as hers, what counts as his, and what, if anything, becomes theirs. Because Taylor's estate isn't just a bank balance. It's an operating business with moving parts most married couples never have to think about. Taylor's creative enterprise, with an estimated net worth exceeding $1 billion, including her music catalog, is no different than a privately held Fortune 500 company. A prenuptial agreement would protect that creative enterprise, including her music catalog, concert tours, streaming revenue, endorsements, contracts, film, projects, licensing agreements, and even artificial intelligence that uses her voice or likeness. Every one of those categories needed its own wall built around it. And on the other side of the table, Travis brought his own portfolio that needed the same protection, just at a different scale. Travis brings substantial NFL earnings, endorsement deals, and his own business interests. According to people briefed on the negotiations, Travis didn't fight any of it. He reportedly viewed the whole exercise as common sense rather than an insult. Insiders say the agreement was designed to safeguard the singer's vast business empire and was developed with input from her legal team and family. And Travis Kelce had no issue with Taylor Swift's prenup, viewing it as a sensible safeguard rather than a test of loyalty. One source close to the situation summed up why he never pushed back. He respected exactly who was steering the process. Insiders revealed that he respected Scott Swift's role in the matter. That's the piece most people miss when they picture a prenup as some cold, adversarial fight. This one, by every account, was closer to a family building a fence around a business it took 20 years to construct, with the new husband nodding along because he had his own fence to build too. But a fence has to have rules, and the rules in this case reportedly went further than money. They touched something Travis probably didn't expect to be part of the conversation at all: his own privacy, written into the terms of somebody else's songwriting career. Here's where the deal gets strange, because Taylor Swift's business isn't just royalties and real estate. Her business is turning relationships into songs, and marrying her means marrying that business model too. Attorneys who've studied her career point out the obvious tension. For an artist like Taylor Swift, who has built a $2 billion career out of musically documenting her romances and breakups, marrying Travis Kelce is almost certain to yield great songwriting material. That's not speculation about her personality. It's a description of her entire back catalog. So multiple family law attorneys say she'd want that right, specifically protected in writing. Swift will want that right carved out in her prenuptial agreement to avoid potential heartache, according to multiple family attorneys, which means Travis reportedly signed on to something most spouses never have to think about: the possibility that details of their marriage or its end could one day become lyrics. Legal commentary around the deal suggests there could be a carve-out shielding her creative freedom specifically. In Taylor's case, she would likely not want to include provisions limiting her from singing about her relationship in songs, particularly since there is always so much speculation about the subjects of her songwriting. An attorney said, at the same time, reports suggest the couple wanted something for Travis's side of the ledger too: protection from the public nature of being married to the most famous person on the planet. Swift and Kelce may wish to include terms fostering confidentiality and privacy. Attorney Sarah Luetto said, this may include non-disparagement or non-disclosure terms related to their relationship. So picture what that actually means in practice. If things ever went sideways, Travis reportedly can't talk about it publicly. Taylor, on the other hand, may have negotiated room to still write about it, just described differently enough to avoid technically breaking the agreement. One attorney described the workaround bluntly: there are ways you can get rounded with creative license, because you can only draft so much and everyone's probably going to know what she's talking about, even if it is described very differently. That's an asymmetry most married couples never have to negotiate. Silence for him. a loophole for her art, and it's not some minor footnote. It's reportedly one of the more actively discussed provisions in the entire document. Richardson speculates that privacy and non-disclosure issues could be top of mind for Swift's team, noting we know Taylor's team is conscientious about public image issues, and that terms can be included in a prenuptial agreement, covering ongoing discussion as the relationship evolves. Then there's the money side of what happens if things go wrong, separate from who gets what. Attorneys who handle celebrity prenups say infidelity clauses are common, but the dollar figures attached to them usually need adjusting for a couple at this altitude. I have had infidelity clauses in several prenuptial agreements that were straightforward in terms and payment penalties, with a fine of $50,000 or $100,000 for the violation, which is an incentive to hopefully discourage infidelity, Richardson explains. However, in the billionaire tax bracket, the amount would need to be much higher to really be a disincentive. So even the punishment clauses in this marriage operate on a different scale than a normal prenup. Standard boilerplate doesn't work when one spouse's yearly income from streaming alone could dwarf most people's lifetime earnings. But money and lyrics aside, there's a mechanical question every prenup has to answer eventually. What happens to things they buy together? And that's where the deal reportedly gets its most protective for Taylor specifically. This is the part of the agreement that decides what happens the moment they start building a life together instead of just two separate portfolios. The starting principle, according to the reporting, was simple. Keep what's yours, yours. Unique assets experts expect the agreement to address include Swift's repurchased music catalog, name, image, likeness rights, Kelce's New Heights podcast and endorsements, and real estate across 4 states. 4 states, 2 separate businesses, and 1 wedding that had to fold all of it into a single legal document without anything bleeding into anything else. Real estate specifically became its own category of conversation because between the two of them, there's a lot of it. Swift also owns an expansive real estate portfolio that stretches across New York, Tennessee, Rhode Island, and California. Travis brought his own property into the mix too, most notably the mansion where he actually proposed. His primary residence is a stunning $6 million mansion in the upscale Leawood, Kansas neighborhood. A 17,000 square foot French Regency-style estate with 6 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, a 2-level movie theater, a wine cellar, a gym, and outdoor amenities including a pool and a pickleball court. That house wasn't just a home. The Leawood mansion has also served as the romantic backdrop for his proposal to Swift. So what happens when a couple with property like that starts buying things together after the wedding? Reports suggest they built in specific language for exactly that scenario. If Taylor and Travis wanted to acquire something in joint names and designate that asset as marital property, they could include a provision in their prenup stating that upon a divorce, any separate property that they put into a jointly owned asset would be returned to the spouse who made that contribution, before any proceeds would be distributed between the parties, ensuring the spouse who contributed separate property would be protected and made whole. In plain terms, if Taylor puts more money into a shared house, she gets that money back first if things ever end. Travis gets his contribution back too, but the math almost certainly favors the person who's put in more. It's not designed to punish him, it's designed to make sure nobody's separate fortune quietly becomes shared property just by existing inside the same address. And there's a jurisdiction question buried in all of this too, because the couple doesn't live in just one place. Because the couple has multiple homes, they would also want a provision in the agreement stating which state law will apply to any divorce-related issues under the terms of the prenup, to avoid any conflicts. Since each state has its own rules for dividing a couple's finances and assets, and without an agreement in place, a couple is subject to those laws. That's not a small detail. Depending on which state's law governs the marriage, the definition of marital property can shift dramatically. Get that wrong, and years from now, a court in the wrong state could interpret a shared vacation home completely differently than the couple intended. Then there's what actually gets built during the marriage, the assets that don't exist yet but almost certainly will. Travis isn't finished earning. He signed a new deal with the Chiefs worth up to nearly $58 million, structured so the guaranteed money is much smaller than the headline number. In March 2026, he signed a 3-year extension with the Chiefs reportedly worth up to $57.735 million. And while the deal's average annual value of $19.245 million makes him the highest paid tight end in NFL history, the contract is structured in a way that makes it in practice a 1-year $12 million commitment. On top of the football money, there's the podcast, arguably his biggest financial engine outside the NFL. Travis Kelce reportedly receives $50 million from the 3-year, $100 million New Heights podcast deal with Amazon's Wondery signed in August 2024, which he co-hosts with his brother Jason Kelce. None of that revenue depends on Taylor at all, and under a title-based prenup, none of it becomes shared just because they're married. Then there's the part of the estate that isn't about protecting money from a breakup. It's about giving some of it away before anyone even asks. Just ahead of the ceremony, the couple made a joint move that had nothing to do with lawyers and everything to do with how they wanted the marriage to start. Ahead of their Madison Square Garden wedding in New York, the couple announced a joint $26 million donation to 20 charities across the U.S., including children's hospitals and food banks. That gift matters for the legal picture too, because philanthropy isn't separate from estate planning. It's part of it. It's important to note that prenuptial agreements aren't just about what happens in the event of a divorce. Estate planning is another essential component, and the prenup should coordinate with the parties' wills and trusts. So there are no inconsistencies regarding inheritances, trusts for future children, or foundations they may want to form. And since Taylor and Travis recently gifted $26 million to various charities before their wedding, philanthropic planning may be a big part of any estate planning. So even the giving is structured. Even the goodwill has paperwork behind it. So strip away the legal language, and what does Travis Kelce actually get out of marrying the richest female musician in history? Not a piece of the catalog. Not a percentage of the tour money. Not access to the $2.1 billion figure that made headlines the moment Forbes published it. The gap between them sits at roughly $1.9 billion. And the prenup, by every account, was built specifically to keep that gap exactly where it started. Regardless of what happens in the marriage going forward, what he gets instead is something less countable but arguably just as valuable. He gets to keep everything he already built without a single dollar of it becoming vulnerable to a future dispute. The podcast deal doesn't require him to play football, and the Six Flags stake appreciates regardless of his snap count. His endorsement portfolio, his Chiefs contract, his stake in New Heights, his ventures in food and beverage, all of it stays his, structured the same way Taylor's catalog stays hers. His ventures include consumer brands, media, food and beverage investments, and entertainment projects, connected to companies and products including Casa Azul, Garage Beer, Hilo Nutrition, Club Car Wash, Kodiak, Indochino, and the Kansas City Steakhouse 1587 Prime, which he opened with Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. He also gets the platform. Analysts who track his earnings have pointed out that his marketability changed the moment he started dating the most famous woman in music, and that shift shows up in real numbers, not just headlines. Sports marketing analysts have pointed to his endorsement income nearly doubling in the years since Swift became a fixture at Chiefs games, a shift that shows up in new brand deals rather than any joint bank account. That's the honest version of what marrying into that level of fame buys a person. Not shared assets, but shared attention. And attention is its own currency in his line of work. He gets protection too, in the other direction. Whatever privacy clause made it into the final document, attorneys agree it was built to shield him just as much as her. According to multiple outlets, the alleged clause that Taylor and Travis could have signed may relate to her future songwriting. As Swifties already know, she's famous for her breakup songs, and she's already confirmed that several of her recent tracks were inspired by her love for Travis. The rumored clause would aim to preserve Travis's privacy and limit the details of their relationship in her music. Whether that clause holds up if the marriage ever ends is a different question. But the intent, according to the people who study these documents for a living, was mutual protection dressed up as one-sided caution. And he gets, by most accounts, a level of respect in the process that a lot of people wouldn't expect from a document built to protect $2 billion from him. Nobody described him fighting the terms. Nobody described resentment. What gets described instead is a man who understood exactly what he was signing and why, standing next to a family that had spent years building walls around a fortune long before he ever showed up at Arrowhead Stadium trying to hand over his phone number. The celebration at Madison Square Garden came nearly 3 years to the day from when the Kansas City Chiefs tight end first tried and failed to slip his phone number to the world's most famous pop star at her concert. 3 years later, the phone number problem solved itself. The fortune problem got solved by lawyers, a father with a background in finance, and a document that by every report keeps both of their empires exactly where they were. The morning of the ceremony, separate, protected, and now standing next to each other for the first time as husband and wife. Sources: Variety. Taylor Swift's net worth is now $2 billion, according to Forbes. Forbes: How Taylor Swift's net worth has more than doubled since she became a billionaire. Forbes: Taylor Swift profile. Celebs fortune. Taylor Swift net worth 2026. The Free Press. Arthur Brooks. Taylor and Travis. A prenup won't protect your marriage. Stylecaster. Did Taylor Swift sign a prenup with Travis Kelce before their wedding? NBC News. The prenup clause that could protect her future songs. Yahoo. The Blast. Travis Kelce's real reason for accepting Taylor Swift's ironclad $2 billion prenup. She knows what's in Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's prenup. Washington Post. What might Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's prenup look like? Hello Magazine. Taylor Swift's ironclad prenup. Wealthmanagement.com. What may be in the prenups of Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce. Neptune Blog. What's in Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's prenup? A breakdown. Hollywood Life. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's prenup. Social Life Magazine. Travis Kelce net worth. Sport DA. Travis Kelce net worth. Investor Mint. Travis Kelce net worth 2026 breakdown. Celebrity net worth. Travis Kelce. https://www.celebritynetworth.com/richest athletes NFL. Travis Kelce net worth. Celebs fortune. Travis Kelce net worth 2026. https://celebsfortune.com. Travis Kelce net worth 20